So, students, after describing the two accidents which befell with the author and his family, he moves to describe about his experiences during his stay in the South Bank. Let's see what he writes about the South Bank. The South Bank was more homely. South Bank to বেছি homely বুলি কৈছে বেছি ঘৰুৱা বেছি ঘৰৰ নিচিনা লাগিছিল because author was a foreigner. He was from England, but he felt that the South Bank was more like his own country. Distances were less and the terrain smaller. The distances between places were less in South Bank and the area was quite small. The reserve forests were mostly in one block. The reserve forest, because he was a forest officer, so his duty was confined to the forests. And he's telling that in South Bank, the reserve forests were mostly in one block. Eta block confined hoye asile. It was a country of low hills and valleys. All of you underline that. Description of the South Bank. The South Bank was a country of low hills. South Bank got mostly low hills asile. Valleys dekhile authore, there were valleys. The trees interspersed with villages and cultivation. And the trees interspersed means trees were in between villages and cultivations. Means you will find 2-3 villages. Again, there will be the forest. Again, there will be cultivation like that. And the forest itself, mostly of sal, had more the character of English woodland. And most of the trees, most of the forests of South Bank the trees were mostly sal trees. Hal gos buli ami jitu ohomiyat ko. Now, author কৈছে যে the sal trees had the character of English woodland. The forests of South Bank had the character of English woodland. English woodland means belonging to his country. So, তেওঁৰ দেশৰ forestor লগত South Bank forestor তেওঁ মিল দেখিছিলে. Okay, he saw similarity between the forests of his country and the forests of South Bank. That is why probably he felt very homely in South Bank. 2 comfortable forest bungalows served our needs. Underline that. 2 comfortable forest bungalows. See, he doesn't write much about the South Bank. Most of the part of the chapter is regarding the North Bank. But here he is mostly confined to write about the 2 bungalows. South Bank thakute 2ta bungalow thakisile author. Ebar etat. And he is describing the 2 bungalows. One at Kulsi. Kulsi is near Guwahati. Boku is a place near Guwahati. Kulsi to Hekhinde ase. One bungalow was at Kulsi, delightfully situated on a wooden spur. Spur means a projection. Okay, projection going into the river. He took spur buli koy. So that Kulsi bungalow was situated on a wooden spur above the river. Above the river, Brahmaputra. Mane spur thake, tumar spur is a wooden hobo pare by maybe made of concrete. Tola tolot noikhon ase noy. Noikhonor leke bridge nohoy. Bridge otke bahut horu. Mane just a projection into the river. Okay, he tar uporote he wooden projection uporote bungalow to asile. Which bungalow? The bungalow at Kulsi. The other Rajapara, underline that, the other bungalow of South Bank was at the place called Rajapara in a clearing. It was in a clearing means it was inside a forest. Clearing means a place inside a forests where the trees are cut down. No trees are there, not many trees you may say. Mane forest or major area to clearing buli koy. Jon manu thake. Would have been equally charming if it had not been for the bats which lived in the roof. Author is telling the Kulsi bungalow was very charming, very delightful, beautiful buli koise kenekwa dhunia lage. River upor, wooden spur upor bungalow to situated hoy ase. It was really very beautiful and very delightful. Rajapara bungalow to khub dhuniya asile, equally charming holeton. But there was one problem in the Rajapara bungalow. What was it? It had the bats which lived in the roof. Okay, underline that, students. The problem that the author and his family faced while they stayed in the Rajapara bungalow was that there were bats in the roof. Rajapara bungalow roofor uporot mane baduli sorai bilak asil. Okay, the bats lived there. Their droppings were a constant reminder of their presence, and the fusty means dirty smell of bat was ever with us. Their droppings means you already know. Okay, janai gom paisa the waste material that they leave, their excreta, that droppings that came from the roof, that reminded them that the bats were on top of the roof. And the smell was very dirty. Khub mane beya gundh eta mane bungalow to thake. Kihor karone? Because of the bats, because of their droppings. Was ever with us. Larger but less smelly were the huge fruit-eating bats with a wingspan of 5 feet. 2 types of bats lived there. The smaller type resided in the roof. Okay, horu type to roofot asile, horu type bat. But a bigger type lived. Where did the bigger type of bats live? They lived in a tree outside the bungalow. Okay, a bungalow agphale সন্মুখত চোতালত এজোপা ডাঙৰ গছ আছিলে সেই গছজোপাত বেলেগ bats কিছুমান আছিলে and those bats were different from the bats that resided in the roof. The bats which resided or which lived in the tree, they were bigger bats, okay? Fruit eating bats. Hebur bats are called fruit khaisile with a wingspan of 5 feet. 5 feet so manhor height thake kisman manhor imane dangor wingspan to je pakhi meli dile tahator kiman dangor hoi jay 5 feet. Which lived in a tree outside the bungalow and issued forth. Issued means came out at dusk. Dusk means the time of evening, twilight. Honthia homoit ulai in search of food. You all know that bats come out in the night time. A strange host of ghostly shapes. Okay, most bats come out in the night. Some during the daytime also. You know, a bat kinir speciality to ki asile. Tadi khotai honthia homoit ulaisile. The time of dusk they used to come out. Which bats? The fruit-eating bats. Where did they reside? In the tree front of the bungalow. Why did they come out? In search of food. A strange host of ghostly shapes gliding through the air on silent wings. Now author is telling that mane bhoy loga, a Yuri atmosphere was created. Okay, it was a Yuri scene. Why? The big bats coming out at the time of the dusk. Ghostly shape dekhibole bhutor nista lage. Okay, the shapes that they provided, and they slowly silently they used to glide in the air. Kono sound nokorake lahe lahe botahot eneke uri thake. Aru kot asile banglo to? Again let me remind, banglo to asile jongolor majot. It was inside the forest. Okay, so it was really a very very macabre sight, very very weird sight you may say. Our bats to tumalke mon koriba students, bats are the birds which are almost associated with the horror movies. Horror movies or bats khub dekhoy. Yes, আর হেতু তেনেকুৱাই হৈছে. It was a really a very terrifying environment which was created at the time of the dusk. তোৰ আমাৰ ভয় লাগিছিলে. Okay, অথৰে হেতু দেখি পেলাই. It really made his blood run cold. Close to the bungalow was a large bheel with where an earthquake had once lowered the surface and the land became inundated. Inundated means covered with water. Hey, bungalow to usorte ako ekhon dangor bheel asil. Underline or of bheel. Ami okhomiyat bill buli ko. Okay, a water body. And the author is telling that that bill was a creation of the earthquake. Jeti earthquake hoisile, he part to billor he part to tolle dobi goisile. It was suppressed down and it was covered with water. It was an Yuri spot. Yuri means very fearful, okay, very ghostly, horrific, where tree skeletons still rose out of the water, a reminder that it had once been dry land. Mane so manhe koy je bhoye bhut ba rati manhe kisman bostu anharot dekhile mane manhu nista lage, bhutor nista lage, he dhoroner eta mane situation hoisile. Karon poribekto tenekwa asile, banglo to asile jongolor majot, tar godhuli homoyt bats bilak ulai, ako usorte dangor bhil khon pani jega bori niu bhoy lage. Aru he bhil khon othore koise bhil khon originally bhil nasile. It was dry land. So dry land thakote ki hol tat gos sos asile, but jetia bhil hoi gol he gos bilak kisman mori gol and the skeletons were only there. The tree skeletons were there. All he dal bilak ba dhorilwa, just the skeleton of the tree was there. So duror pra andhar jetia hoy enekwa lage dhula gos jupa jodi enekwa ta shapot thake manhu eta roi thoka nista lagibo andharot aru bhoy lage mane. And they were inside a forest, not populated. Okay, okol khoriake banglo to asile usor manhu nasile, and it was really a very Yuri environment. Got to know it, students? Author nije to express korise, is admitting it was Yuri spot where skeletons rose. Enekwa lage manhu mora pison ke skeleton he gosor skeletons bilak mane rati dekhi bhutor nista lagisle. They appeared to be like ghosts. Okay, a reminder that it had once been dry land. His skeletons bu dekhile manhe monot pore je etu originally bhil nasle, but originally it was a dry land. Kintu hetu kotha logic to manhe ako apply nokore ne, manhor jete bhoy lage logic e kam nokore. So prothom bar jetia dhela rati teoloke dekhisile ekdom enekwa manhor nista figure eta rokhi ase, manhu buli bhabise, kintu pisot tadi upolobdhi korile no, it's a tree. Okay, like that situations, such situations were very common for the author and his family. Okay, students? So let us come to the next paragraph. So in this paragraph, mostly we got to know about which bungalow? Raja Para bungalow. And in this paragraph, the author talked about the South Bank and he's mostly concerned with two bungalows. South Bank or kotha kote bungalow dutar kothai kobo. Malko 5 mark question ahileo bhale hobo South Bank or kotha ahile okol bungalow gitar bikhoy likhile hoi jabo. Okay, and he's talking about two bungalow, one bungalow Kulsi bungalow, one is the Rajapara bungalow. And so far he has talked about the Rajapara bungalow. In spite of his somewhat macabre association, macabre means ghostly, ghastly associations, however, Rajapara was a pleasant place to work in. Author is telling that although it was very terrifying, okay, but it was a nice place to work, Rajapara. The paddy fields where the jungle fowl gleaned, okay, glean means to pick up the eat, to pick up the corns. Jungle fowl. Fowl means, you know, these creatures like the hens, okay, the birds, they used to come out, glean the grain after the harvest and sometimes found their way into the pot where cheerful, sunny and open spaces. So in Rajapara, the author is telling that it was a pleasant place. Why? The paddy fields where the jungle fowl glean means in the paddy fields they could see the creatures coming from the jungle. Potharotu teoloke pray jungle pra ulai oha a fowl bilak dekhisle, different beautiful birds they saw there. Why did they come to the paddy field? They came to the paddy field generally after the harvest. Sete dhan kati hoi jai. Tetia tahati he paddy field bilakole ahe to collect the leftover grains, to eat the leftover grains, and sometimes found their way into the pot. Pot underline kora, pot pane to definition did say cheerful, sunny and open spaces. Pots were very common in Rajapara. Pots means small places, very cheerful, sunny, filled with different beautiful creatures. Those places were very common in Rajapara. But Kulsi was my favorite. He's admitting. নিজে স্বীকাৰ কৰিছে যে ৰাজাপাৰাৰ কুলসি মাজৰ অৰ্থৰ বেছি ভাল লাগিছিলে কোনটো কুলসি he loved কুলসি. The bungalow was surrounded by teak plantations planted some 60 years before and now almost mature. The Kulsi bungalow was surrounded by a plantation called the teak plantation. Teak is the name of a tree. Sob fale teakor gos asile. Planted 60 years back, underlined that 60 years back, 60 years or agot, he gosbilak rua hoisile. And they had become mature by that time. 60 years or to mature ho jai. In fact, growth in the Assam climate was too rapid to produce first-class teak, and the local variety, though a useful furniture wood, was never up to the Burma standards. See, the author here is mostly now concerned about the teak plantation or kothai koi ase. The growth in Assam climate. The Assam climate was not favorable for the teak plants. Too rapid. বেছি ফাষ্ট গ্ৰোথ হয় আসাম ক্লাইমেটত টিক গছবিলাক বেছি ফাষ্ট গ্ৰোথ হয় আৰু ফাষ্ট গ্ৰোথ হোৱাৰ কাৰণে কি হয় দে ডোন্ট প্ৰডিউচ দ্য ফাৰ্ষ্ট ক্লাছ টিক দ্য লোকেল ভেৰাইটি অলদো ইট ইজ ইউজড ফৰ ফাৰ্নিচাৰ দেয়াৰ লেভেল ৱাজ নট আপ টু দ্য বাৰ্মা ষ্টেণ্ডাৰ্ড বাৰ্মাৰ যিটো টিক উড সেইটো বেছি ভাল কোৱালিটি বুলি কৈছে বাৰ্মাজ টিক কোৱালিটি ইজ ফাৰ superior than the teak quality of Assam. Okay, why? What is responsible for that? The climate of Assam. Close by was a rubber plantation of Ficus elastica. Underline that, all of you. Close near the Kulsi bungalow, there was a rubber plantation also. Ficus elastica, that's a scientific name. But no tapping had taken place for some years. I don't know whether all of you know or not, from rubber, the tappings is made from the rubber tree. Tappings are made. Tappings to keneke kore tumalke to netot sai lobasun rubber gojjopa maje maje kati diye. Okay, enekene dag bohai diye and they keep containers and from there the white colored sticky substance come out. This is how rubber is tapped. He tap rubber bonwa hoy. Kaziranga le gole tumalke dekhiba rubber plantation ase and you may see the tapping taking place also. So here the author is telling that no tapping had taken place for some years. Kebosor manor tapping huai nasile. Since Indian rubber was no longer able to compete with para rubber commercially. Para rubber is a kind of, you may say, native tree, okay, which is very native to tropical areas from South America or the Amazon. He rubber bilakor nisna nohoy mane Amazon ba tumi kobo para South America jiblak rubber quality. This rubber quality was not so superior commercially means. For business purpose, it was not so profitable. Ficus elastica belongs to the fig family, of which several species are found in Assam. So Ficus elastica belongs to family, species ako family, genre etu tomalke janai hierarchy to biology lage. So they belong to what family? Ficus elastica belongs to the fig family, underline that. And their several species are found in Assam. Some grow to an immense size. Kisman bahut dangor hoi jay. Ficus fig family মানে rubber plants কিছুমান বহুত ডাঙৰ হৈ যায়, big size. Having started life as a climbing epiphyte. Epiphyte means an air plant. These rubber plants, they start their life as air plants, climbing air plants, epiphytes on other trees. Okay, মানে যিজৰ জোৰ নথকা weak plants, they take the support of other plants to climb, so they begin their life as climbers. Okay, weak plant taking the support of other trees. Eventually, the host tree becomes completely encased by the ficus, which forms a smooth bark around it. With time, what happens? Ekhini mane othore okol ebur kothai describe kori thakile, so othore mane okoman botany nisna kotha kole. Othore koise je lahe lahe he ficus elastica ki kori die, they become bigger in size. They first start life as climbers. Jidal gosor por teoloke bogai, he bilak bogai lahe lahe he gostuke tahati ki kori die, encase kori die. Okay, they cover that tree, okay, encased by the ficus, and form a smooth bark around it. Or take cost to cover kori, they form the bark. The host dies. The host tree dies down, mori jayge last, and the epiphyte takes over. The epiphyte takes the place of the main tree, original tree, may say, the host tree. Some, like the banyan, send down aerial roots from the branches, which help to buttress means to support the huge bulk of the tree. And some rubber plants are like the banyan trees. Kenekwa hoy banyan trees or nisna dahati? Like the banyan, they send down aerial roots. Okay, he je dal or pra je roots bilak ulai, aerial roots, they come down and they go down into the soil, and it helps to support the huge bulk. Okay, the huge tree bulk, may say the huge size of the tree. Imane dangor size support hobole digdar hoy, ekane aerial roots ahe aru tree jopak form kori die, they make the tree form. So now the chapter comes to an end. Eneke author chapter to hek kori dise. See, what does he talk about? Towards the end, he doesn't give a proper conclusion, but and moreover, it's an extract also. He mostly talks about the Kulsi Bungalow and the teak plantation and the rubber plantations surrounding the Kulsi Bungalow. Okay, he ends up like that. And we can't blame the author also, because as we have already discussed in our first class, he was not originally author. Teo ejon author nohoy, prominent author nohoy, okay, writer nohoy. Teo ekhon memoirs e jeneke diary likhibo karne ba memoirs likhibo karne manu author hobo nalage. Anyone can write his daily life, anyone can write their own memoirs. Okay, for that you don't need to have a very perfect writer. So our author John Rowantree was from a different occupation altogether. He was a conservator of the forest. He was a forest officer, and later he became a journalist and media commentator. Okay, he was not a full-time writer, but still the chapter he has given us a lot of information regarding his experiences during his stay in the state of Assam. Okay, students, so I end up my class here today. I want that all of you should go through the chapter. As we have completed the chapter, bhalke pohi saba 2-3 bar, kiba buji nepale hodai etu kotha ko je hesitate nokoriba. Personally WhatsApp ot tumalke message koriba para kuntu part buji poa nai, underline kori diba. I'll always explain you all. Okay, I'm always ready to explain you all. In our next class, we will discuss the question answers. Okay, then. Till then, all of you take care, do your studies regularly, be sincere and hardworking. Thank you, students.